Well, here it is. It's my 9/11 story, and it's fitting because this beautiful sunny day feels very much like Tuesday, September 11th. I woke up, guess I heard the news about New York, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, and I was telling her, wow, if they hit New York, maybe they'll hit DC. And it was right about that moment that my building shook from the sound of a jet flying way, way, way closer than they usually fly. And it was creepy. And about 45 seconds to a minute and a half later, a cannon like explosion, a huge boom. And I made my way to the roof of my building. People had gathered by that point. You could see the flames from the Pentagon. Certain angles from my building, I could see the Capitol. And I lived probably about a mile, maybe mile and a half, 2 miles from the Pentagon, very close, just up Columbia Pike. And so I was watching everything happen, but from a distance at that point. We were talking about it on the roof. I think the building manager was there. It's a building behind Bob and Edith's Diner in Arlington, famous diner, still there. Open 24 hours. It's a historic landmark, basically, in the DC area. A lot of people have been there late night, after the bars, what have you. But I was watching up there. I saw a plane scramble. I saw a plane go up, take off in the direction of what would be Pennsylvania. And I saw that plane, and I really should post a video. I shoot a lot of video. And what I did was I ended up hopping on my bike. I worked in the media at that point. I had a press pass. I was scheduled to be editing freelance, like I did most days in those days, for National Geographic. They had a daily news show, and I was one of the freelance editors that was there pretty much every day editing that show. Who was the talent at that point? Susan Rosegin, Un Yang eventually was on that show. Can't remember who was there at that point. And Tom Foreman, who's now on CNN, was a host of that show. But got to edit some really great pieces with him. We did a series on Irish surfers in Ireland. That was cool. And kind of all comes together because I was in Ireland recently and watching. There was some surfing going on there. But wow, what a day! What a day that was. So what happened? I strapped my I had a Capitol Hill press pass. I strapped that on. I took my pro camera, a big camera, not huge, but it was DV cam at that point, and I took that and rode my bike to the Pentagon. And wow, let me tell you, I saw the FBI arrive. I saw limousines just darting in and out. I saw, medical care arrive, fire. Flames were literally shooting out of the Pentagon. And it was something. I contacted one of my clients, and I said, hey, I'm shooting a lot of footage today. Would you like to, perhaps obtain some of this footage? And I put it to them like that, and he said, yeah, this was a German television station. And he said, yeah, get me some German interviews. Get me some German interviews. Well, believe it or not, I managed to accomplish that. But I shot all day there, and just it was amazing. I mean, it was horrible. It was apocalyptic. It was just, the things I saw, and oh man, you know, the people in those blue FBI jackets with the yellow writing. I think it was yellow, maybe been white, but just running towards the Pentagon. And man, anybody that was alive and old enough to remember, you'll never forget, no matter where you were. And I just happened to be right there. And so that day, as I said, I shot a whole bunch of footage. We were staged at the gas station. There used to be a gas station there that was really for the Pentagon employees, and it was always a bit cheaper. They didn't really question you, so those that knew about it would go. I would go there occasionally because the gas was considerably cheaper than it was everywhere else. That gas station is now gone, and the Pentagon's been redone. The Navy Annex was like 5 buildings up the street, and that's where they had eventually staged the remembrances, and people would post tributes there on the corner, basically between the Pentagon and where those 5 buildings started. Now those 5 buildings is the site of I believe it's the Air Force Memorial, those planes that go up. It's like a cool monument there. But back then, yeah, it was ugh. And I was actually hired not too long after that to go to the one of the hotels in Crystal City, I will say, Pentagon City, Crystal City, and shoot the memorials for the families. The families were staying at that hotel, and they posted personal memories like, "We love you, Daddy." I mean, it was horrible. And I believe what I shot that day, probably at least many weeks or a month or so after 9/11, was included in the package that they gave 9/11 survivor families, people who lost a loved one in 9/11. And I never saw the footage, but I shot it. It was horrible. Just little teddy bears, and oh my God. But on that day, the media was staged at that gas station, and that's where I got most of the footage. You could move a little closer, and I did a couple times, but you wanted to stay back. It was a bad scene, and there was just a huge hole in the Pentagon, and wow, it was horrific. So that was what happened there that day. And then since I worked for National Geographic, we had a news feed, and wow, I saw over the next, I think I went in maybe a day or two later to National Geographic when I could make it in, and I was working there freelance, and we got the raw news feed. And that raw news feed from New York and from the Pentagon, it was horrific, the things you saw. All the worst things you hear about. Maybe you've never seen it. I've seen it, and it's, oh man, those images will stay with you forever. And it was absolutely horrific. And man, yeah, pretty darn bad. But people that live through that will. You remember where you were. It's like, Reagan getting shot, or things like that. I remember those. The Challenger blowing up. Those are the things that happened in the time that I've been on this planet. So after shooting, I rode my bike back up the hill towards my house, and towards my apartment there, and I ended up stopping by there was a Sheraton hotel there, still there, and I lucked out. There were people in from a conference, and I interviewed a man and a woman speaking German. I told them, give me German answers, and I literally interviewed them with the smoke pluming right above their heads. It was so close to the Pentagon. And I did end up, I had to I basically got a ride to the border of DC from my friend, and I had my bike. I rode my bike the rest of the way. And Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. when I went to deliver my tape, it was right by the White House. There were snipers on the White House. Nobody on the street at 5:30 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Nobody on a beautiful sunny day like today. And that is my 9/11 story. And wow, I still have that footage. Maybe I'll post it on my Ivan Katz production site. But there you go. I hope you'll watch my other videos, U2 in Dublin, Jim Morrison's Life and Death in Paris, Andy Warhol's Life in Pittsburgh, the Chelsea Hotel in New York, and my documentaries, Real Reality, Real Poker, and they're all on YouTube. Of course, my car reviews, search any car and Drivin Ivan. But I wanted to share on this 9/11, my 9/11 story. And wow, yeah, we should definitely never forget. And those of us that were there, just anywhere you were, it didn't matter where you lived, if you were close, if you were not close, you will never forget it. And it really shaped our generation, my generation, Gen X, and all the other generations that were around then. There you have it. It's Wednesday, September 11th.